All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live stream dedicated to teaching you how to protect your children in this age of the internet. Today, we have a wonderful guest. His name is Scott Driscoll, and he has a lot of experience as a police officer, law enforcement. He's done a lot to protect children from predators and has become very knowledgeable about all these issues that uh, come with raising a child and dealing with the internet and smartphones and all of that. As always, this stream is sponsored by Guardian, and you will be able to view it after the stream, both on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and on our website, mmguardian.com. We have a parent info center there, and you can also see a lot of the previous streams we've done dedicated to all sorts of subjects that you might want to hear about, like cyberbullying, predators, creating a safety contract with your child, and all sorts of other useful information. Talk more about that at the end of the stream. And if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the comments and we will answer them. For now, I'm going to hand it over to Scott.
Well, thank you, Coley. I want to thank Coley and Guardian for allowing me to come in and be part of this great educational series that they're doing when it comes to today's technology. Very briefly, I run a company called Internet Safety Concepts. And as you heard from Coley, the reason I started this company was my experience as a police officer. I'm a retired law enforcement officer of 32 years. For most of my career, I spent investigating crimes against children until the internet really took off. Then I was fortunate enough to be assigned to a federal task force and local police investigations, where for about 10 years, I was a 13 to 14-year-old girl on the internet, arresting predators and pedophiles from all over this world who were hurting our children. And because of what I saw firsthand, I started my company because as I was doing the investigations, I realized we're lacking a little education. So my company is based solely on educating and using today's technology with smart choices. We all know we're going to use technology, and when used appropriately, there's good and positive aspects to it. My focus is smart online choices. So when Coley asked me to come on and talk about picture sharing and what we can go along with it, I said I would be more than happy to. It'd be an honor, so I'm thankful to be here. Now, real briefly, as we start to talk about what is technology and picture sharing and everything like that, I like to really start to take it back to getting us as parents to think a little bit about the technology. So I am a parent. I have 2 kids, fantastic kids. We've lived through all this internet concerns. Now, as we go through the concerns, one of the things people always ask me is I'm not really sure about the technology. So many kids have come to me and said, I am the technology expert in my house. And I understand that can happen. But as parents, I think we need to take an active role. So to get us thinking about why it's so important that we get involved with technology, let's think a little bit about what our kids do and how they learn. They learn from our experiences and education. So for example, when they learn to walk, we were right there with them. We made sure that we protected them. So if they went to fall, we would stop them so they wouldn't get hurt. We wanted them to learn, but be safe while they were doing it. Then they started to ride a bike. We chased after them up and down streets. We put elbow pads and knee pads and helmets on them because we wanted our kids to be safe. And then if you've ever gone through it like I have with my kids, they learn how to drive. Oh, there's a lot of safety features we go through with that, but all along the way, we're teaching them what we've learned and how to keep them safe. The challenge is with technology, because some of us, we might not have had this when we were kids. So we give our children the technology with great intentions, but maybe not the skills and the education about safety that go along with it. So for parents who are watching this, I commend you for watching it, even taking 15, 20 minutes out of your day to learn about one part. Go through Guardian's website, see the other professionals that have come and talked to you, because the more information that we get as parents, the better chance we have of keeping our kids safe. They're going to learn from us, from the good and the bad. They're going to learn from their experiences as well. But the more that we can get involved and maybe even start to address things before they happen, that's what I call the good stuff can happen. Now, today, we're going to be talking about picture sharing. Why do I think it's such an important topic? I think pictures are an important part of our life. But boy, has it changed. For example, I don't mean to date myself, but welcome to my childhood. Now, as we look at this Polaroid, some of us might reminisce, we might laugh. Some of the kids might look at it and go, what is that? I would love to go back to the Polaroid era for taking pictures. Not because of the quality, because the quality wasn't as good as the technology we have right now. What I would like to go back to is how the picture developed. If we remember, that camera would spit out the picture, it'd come out the front, we'd grab it, and then we would shake it because we got to make it develop faster. And maybe for about 45 seconds, we shook that picture until it came into a picture. Now, why do I want to go back to this era? Is that 45 seconds. See, when we shook it, it gave us time to think, what am I going to do with this picture? Am I going to keep it? It's one copy. Am I going to put it in a photo album? Am I going to share it with my best friend? Or am I going to look at it and go, oof, that is a terrible picture. I'm going to rip it up and try again. Why do I start talking with people about picture sharing using a Polaroid? Because of that 45 seconds. We had time to think. Now, unfortunately, with today's technology, as great as it is, when we share, post, forward, or send pictures, once we hit that button for that command, we've lost control. And unfortunately, when you add on to programs and apps that allow us to take so many pictures and share with maybe people we don't even know, that's where we start to lose control. So in the short time we're together today, I hope that we can maybe gain some control over taking pictures and being responsible with them. We're not going to stop capturing memories. And that, in my opinion, is what a picture is. See, if we think about pictures as memories, think about it for a second. Every one of us has memories that we don't want to remember. It's there because of something that's happened in our lives, and we remember it even though we don't want to. And then there's memories that I hope I never forget that. It's that moment in life that I cherish. It just brings joy and happiness to me. Same thing with pictures. There are pictures that I have in my home that I hope I will have forever. I look at them and I can go right back to the day and time where me and my family were celebrating something really special. Then, if we don't think about it, before we take the pictures, there are some pictures that, man, I wish I never took them. And unfortunately, because today's technology moves so fast, both occur. So what I always say is, listen, we're going to take pictures. But I think when it comes to picture taking and sharing, we just need to slow down for a second. Even though we have better technology than the Polaroid, maybe take those 45 seconds, especially our youngsters. As an adult, if I take a picture right now and I send it and it gets shared, it's probably, I'm later in my life. It's okay. There's could be consequences, both positive and negative, but it might not have such an impact. Our young people that take pictures that maybe are private pictures, maybe pictures that they don't want their mom or dad or relatives to see, once they get sent out there, they get taken and shared, we lose control over it. And that's why it's so important that we talk about today's topic. Now, you're going to hear me say talk about, because I firmly believe that we should be talking about this before it becomes a problem. If we have our children and we give their children smartphones or devices, I think we should be discussing the good and bad before they use it. Why? Well, I think it gives them good skills. I think it gives them education that, hey, you're going to use technology. Understand, please, there's some safety concerns. But it also, if we talk to them about it before it becomes a problem, now they've got a support system to come back to. Let's say, for example, they don't even take the picture. Let's say your child receives a picture and it just makes them feel uncomfortable. Maybe it's a nude picture, or maybe it's just one of those pictures that never should have been taken. If you never talk to your kids about it, they might not know what to do. But if you've had a conversation with them and said, hey, listen, if you receive something that makes you feel uncomfortable, I know it's not going to be a fun talk, but I want you to come show me and talk to me so we can work it out, because maybe someone in the picture needs help, or maybe they're sending you something that you should never receive. We got to make sure we keep you safe. We take a positive approach to it before it happens, then maybe we can start to have some good communication about it. I take pictures all the time. And there are some memories I look at a week later and go, that's a terrible picture. I don't need that. And then there's pictures that I'm going to hold on to forever. That's what I think pictures should be. The challenge that the younger generation has is they follow us now. Once we put them online, we use an app or program to share them, we lose control over it. And unfortunately, not every picture that's taken is one that is a good memory. So we have a short amount of time here together today. I do want to talk about a very important topic. Is it a fun topic? Nope. But it's a topic that we need to talk about, and that is sexting. Now, every person might have different opinions, and some of you watching this might even get an uncomfortable feeling just hearing the word. I respect that. But it is an important word that we need to address. See, when I was a police officer, I was also doing computer forensics. And in my department, we were lucky enough to have what they call a cell phone extractor, which means we helped police departments get evidence off of phones. So I've been seeing the impact of picture sharing since the inception of smartphones. And I've seen through firsthand evidence how pictures can be positive, but also they can really have some long-term consequences. So sexting is something that I take very seriously. Now, if you've heard the term, but maybe not sure of it, the definition that I use, it's the sending of sexually explicit photos, images, text messages, or emails by use of cell phone or other mobile device. And depending on which state you're in, each state might have different laws pertaining to sexting when it comes to our young people, our children, and just pornography in itself. So whatever state you're in, if you're not sure, I would highly recommend you do some research, contact your local police department, and ask them about the impact of pictures being shared. Because it might not just be something that causes stress in our children's lives. There could be some situations where the pictures are actually illegal. Now, why do pictures cause such a long-term problem? Because they're so easily shared over technology. And I have been in schools where I've stood by a principal and we're just in the cafeteria talking to some students. And all of a sudden, while we're there, there's a different energy in the room. And you can kind of see it go around the room. And we had students come to us and go, "Did you see the picture that's just being shared right now?" And you could almost see where that picture traveled in just that one room. And for me, that's just a lesson learned that I'll never forget because I saw it firsthand and the impact of the pictures. I've been the police officer who has talked to students who have come to me and said, "I wish I never took this picture. Every time I apply for a job, they find this picture, or every time a new family wants me to babysit, they Google search my name and this picture comes up. How do we get it off the internet?" And unfortunately, there are times where I have to look to the young people and say, there's nothing we can do. We can't get it off the internet. And that is extremely unfortunate. But that's how technology works with pictures. So the thing we have to do with our pictures is be very careful. We have to be responsible with them. When I talk to youngsters, and I start talking about picture sharing as early as 4th grade, and when I talk to 4th grade through maybe 7th grade, it's all about, hey, make sure it's a picture that your mom, your dad, your parent, your guardian, your aunt or uncle can see. I kind of bring that thought process in. Then as they get older into middle school and high school, it's, well, what would your future boss say? Because unfortunately, pictures can follow them. What would your future spouse or partner say if they saw this picture in a couple of years? And I wish we didn't have to think that way, but we do. So if we start to think about things ahead of time and we start to think about safety before we take the picture, maybe that's where we can start to gain some control. So anytime I talk to students, what I ask them to do, and I challenge them, before you take your next picture, you can have a great selfie lined up or a group shot full of friends, whatever the picture is. Before you go click, I just challenge you in your head, don't have to tell anybody you're doing it, is the picture safe? And what I mean by safe is before you take that picture, you be sure that that picture is appropriate for everyone. Is the picture appropriate? Am I sure it's appropriate for everyone? If your first thought is, well, I hope my grandmother never sees this picture, we should be putting our device down and thinking it through before we take the picture. See, if we go back to that 45 seconds, that's when we can start to gain control. We can learn stuff from old technology. What breaks my heart is so many times when students say, I wish I didn't, or I wish I thought about it before I did. And it's so easy for us to get brought into that world because when it comes to picture sharing, it's so quick. It's so bang, it's out there. Whether it's an app that allows us to share pictures with funny filters and fun things we can do with it and be creative. But once we share it, it now belongs to someone else. And when it comes to picture sharing, if people tell you that the pictures disappear, I would really have a strong conversation with your youth about that maybe by device, it's supposed to disappear, but there's so many different ways on our devices where we can capture images, we can capture videos or take screenshots, that the likelihood of something really disappearing might not be that great. And I think that's why we run into some problems. A lot of the pictures that are taken are impulsive. Hey, you look great today. Why don't you send me a picture? Well, that one's really good. Send me another one. I promise you, no one will see it. You send it here, it'll disappear in 10 seconds. No one will ever see it. We have a lot of different ways that with picture sharing, people put pressure on us. And that's something that's scary because that's challenging. Parents, think back to when we were kids. If we had these devices in our hands and someone was saying something like, you are the most handsome or most beautiful person in our class. When you get home, send me a picture that no one will see. It might have been easy to get lured into that. So one of the ways we told that is we talk to our kids about what's appropriate and what's not. We hand them the device, but we also say, here's some rules. On my website, I have contracts. I know other people that have been on this program have had great contracts too. I think a contract is awesome because it's time where you can discuss expectations when everything's calm, everything's good. There is no stress. There's no worry. Talk about it ahead of time. I told you I have children. At one time, my daughter came to me with an extremely embarrassing picture that she received. She did nothing wrong, but wasn't sure exactly how to deal with it. She came to her father before anybody else. That wasn't easy for her, but she did because we talked about it a lot before it happened. She had a game plan before it even existed. She knew what she was going to do before that stress happened. So I highly encourage, if you have a contract, use it. If you need one, you can go to my website, and there's a lot of them out there. But have the information ahead of time, talk about it, and talk to our kids about what is appropriate in a picture, what's not. You can certainly steal my acronym from me. Let them know, hey, before you take the picture, make sure it's safe. Because if we start to combine good information from sites like Guardian and technology that can help protect our kids, we have good conversation and communication with our kids before something happens, maybe that could even discourage it from happening. That's when I really feel we can start to gain some control and use technology for what it should be, all the fun and education and communication and capturing memories that picture allow us to do. So I'm not saying we can't take pictures. I'm just thinking we have to make sure we do it as safely as possible. Coley, at this point, is there any questions or anything that you wanted covered that we didn't cover, or anything more we can share at this point? You're muted, Coley.
Thank you. Yeah, if you're watching right now and you have a question, feel free to post it in the comments and we will answer it. One question I would have is, you mentioned that there are kids who face consequences from sending these pictures. Can you talk a little bit more detail about like some consequences, to give some real concrete examples that some parents can like tell their children if they're talking about this?
Well, there's the consequences for these kind of things will come in different forms. Again, each state will have their own different laws. So I would highly recommend whatever state you're in, look if there is a sexting law for children. But I'll share one very briefly that happened in mid 2006, 2007 era, where a young lady sent a picture. It wasn't illegal, but it was extremely inappropriate. It's a picture that never should have been taken. Long story short, she sent it to someone she was in a relationship with. Relationship went bad. That picture within 3 weeks ended up on a website in a different country that we had no power or control over. And it followed that young lady around for the couple months. Then when that young lady, she was in 9th grade when the picture was taken. When she became a senior, 4 years later, someone found it through a Google search when she applied for a college scholarship. Just by a simple search, it came up. Years after that, the picture still existed online, because when the person got broken up with, they got angry. And instead of just moving on, they took that picture that was supposed to disappear, uploaded it to a website in a different country. People heard about it, and it spread like wildfire. And that's just one off the top of my head when it comes to cases that I've been personally involved in. So many. It's amazing how quickly these things spread. And sometimes you just can't get the pictures down or get the information back. And that's why I think if we think about them ahead of time, before we take the pictures, it's our best course of action.
Yeah, I think that's a really important detail. Is a lot of parents wait until these things have already happened before they start looking for resources or trying to understand how to handle it. And that's why it's so important to learn beforehand, so that you hopefully prevent the situation from happening in the first place. But if it does happen, you'll know how to handle it.
Absolutely. I think the conversation ahead of time is a tool to help prevent it happening. But if we only wait to react instead of prevent, we run into some problems, because usually when we're reacting, it's emotional. We're embarrassed, we're angry, we're sad, whatever it is. We might not be making the best decisions, or are we trying to come up with a good goal to end it? Where if after dinner tonight, you just go, hey, listen, before you go do your homework or before you do this, can we just talk for a couple seconds? I saw this video about picture sharing. Can we just talk? What's your thought on when to share a picture and when not to share a picture? We could just start the conversation by learning from our kids. Hey, what apps do you use that can share a picture? I want to learn a little more. It doesn't have to be accusatory. It doesn't have to be, this is going to be a lecture, sit down. It could be, let's talk. And then maybe a couple days later, yeah, I want to learn more about that app, or how do pictures get shared? Let's learn from them. Let's learn together. But all along the way, we could be telling them, if that ever happens, please come see me. And we plant that seed for good education.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it's especially the subject today. The last study I saw was that 40% of teens say it's normal to send these types of pictures. So it is just so prevalent these days, and it is so important to educate them on the consequences of it. Just try to make it as unnormalized as possible.
Yeah. Again, I can't emphasize enough. If we're using them appropriately, if we're using them the right way, and it's capturing memories, man, technology is great. As a parent, when my kids were younger, I used to have a video camera about this big that I think weighed 500 pounds. And on vacation, I would lug this thing around. Now I'm an iPhone user. It's awesome, but it's the sharing of it. It's the appropriate, it's what am I doing with my pictures that we really need to start thinking about.
Yeah, it's the ease of all these things with technology, whether it's drugs, sharing pictures, cyberbullying. Technology has made it so easy and accessible that it has become so rampant, and thus even more important to talk to your children about.
You got it.
Yeah. All right. Well, it doesn't look like we have any questions, so okay. I think we'll wrap it up. But thank you so much, Scott, for your presentation. You did a phenomenal job.
Cool. If I could just plug my website real quick, if you don't mind.
Of course.
If we can put the slide up, it's internetsafetyconcepts.com. I've got the contracts. I've got safety guides for families to use. I also have 2 books out there in regards to internet safety. Parents can get information about that if they want to learn more. And if they have any specific questions, they can certainly drop me an email through my contact page.
Perfect. And as I said before, this whole presentation, if you missed it, will be available on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and on our website, mmguardian.com. You just go to our Parent Info Center and you'll see this with a bunch of other presentations. All right, well, that's it. So thank you. We got one question or comment. Thanks for all the information. I had a question, but it was answered. Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks for watching.
Good. Coley, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it greatly to come out and talk about this. And I hope everyone has a great day and we keep safe.
Of course. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.